Satan wages war against the kingdom of heaven. To do this, he sowed tares among the wheat. These were the children of his kingdom. He encountered a difficulty. There weren't very many people who had been condemned, certainly not enough to truly conquer the earth. He made a discovery. All things are made of light, and each light is a soul. The very ground of his kingdom could be used to make an army. He forced these souls to evolve rapidly. This was a cruel act and very traumatic. This level of being was strange to them. They weren't really ready for it, but he didn't care for their comfort. He needed them only to obey and to breed upon the earth. He used the means at his disposal to send them to earth, but it was slow going. They needed to be able to access physical vehicles, bodies, in order to come. He needed a doctrine that would accustom them to obedience, rapid breeding, and aggression, so that they could displace the children of light. This he gave them, and they began to spread. This wouldn't be sufficient, so he sent his more capable subjects to the lands of the children of light, that they might assume authority over them and weaken them from within. He also instructed them to enter establishments of learning so that they could turn the people from truth and fill them with confusion and self-loathing. They would be taught that there was no such thing as truth, and they would be taught to hate the truth when they heard it. He sought to make it a crime to criticize his agenda by targeting speech itself. He sought to make it a crime to speak the truth. He sought to strip the people of weaponry that they should be defenseless. He sought to sow panic among the people such that they would clamor to give away freedom. He sought to cast freedom as slavery and slavery as freedom. Ideologies were constructed as prisons for the mind. The people were to be encouraged to fear, resent, and hate, and were to be discouraged from genuine thought. The teachings of the Lord were a primary target, and he sought to undermine them. His subjects elevated each other into positions of authority and began to eject the children of light. They used their authority selectively, punishing their enemies harshly and protecting their allies. They sought to control information and manipulate the thinking of the people for the purposes of their ruler. They sought to weaken countries and centralize authority under their ruler, Satan. When the children of light had been sufficiently demoralized, weakened, and confused, he began to replace them with his tares. Borders were to be opened for the purpose of invasion. He sought to make criticism of the process a crime, and sought to establish in the minds of the children of light the idea that all people were interchangeable. Yet the invasion was to go only one way. He sought to discourage the children of light from breeding and encourage them to murder their unborn. His goal was to establish his rulership fully over the earth. He sought to create such a resistance against the coming of the Lord that he might be unable to return. Much of this resistance is in the minds of the people. In heaven, the Holy Spirit and the Son discussed the problem. Demonic possession was giving Satan a foothold on the earth. The Holy Spirit asked why the kingdom of heaven shouldn't use the process, but the Son told him that possession led to terrible suffering as the two souls were being squeezed together, and that there isn't enough space in the minds of the people of earth to house two souls without horrific suffering. The Holy Spirit had returned from the outer darkness, where he had gained much experience in the modification of vehicles of life, and as this was fresh in his memory, he made a suggestion. If space were the problem, then he could design bodies with sufficient additional space within their minds that they could house two souls without suffering. With that done, these people with brilliant minds would need only to believe and accept another child of God within them, and great saints and teachers would be free to enter the earth, bypassing the resistance just as the demons had bypassed the resistance. The Lord himself could return this way, and when the time was right, he would be free to create a body for himself, visit the others, and do the same for them, and so great light could appear suddenly upon the earth. This was done. The Son has a large consciousness, and so, even with additional capacity, both of those who were joined in this way would suffer, and the manner of their suffering would be this: they would be crushed. Thus, the kingdom of heaven was free to come to earth. The Son could come in his kingdom. Remember that any who truly turn to the Lord can enter life. Remember the words of the Lord. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. I'll leave you with this, as for some reason I feel the need to speak it to you. Ascribe to the Lord, you heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of his holiness. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks in pieces the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon leap like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord strikes with flashes of lightning. The voice of the Lord shakes the desert. The Lord shakes the desert of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord twists the oaks and strips the forests bare. And in his temple all cry, Glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord is enthroned as King forever. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. Be not afraid. For the Lord is the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He has authority to lay it down, and he has authority to pick it up again.